So you keep receipts, Kane, and I do too, and I might not be throwing them flamboyantly in the air as you have done in the past,
You
but on
should.
this show last week, Kane, you said to play Lachie Neale to select him in the grand final would be one of the most reckless selection calls of all time. Did he prove you wrong?
Well, they managed him perfectly, what I will say.
Oh.
So to select him in the 22 would have been the most reckless thing I've ever seen. And I still, to be fair, I wouldn't have taken the risk on him as a sub. But this is why Chris Fagan is an absolute master. This is why he's the best psychological coach that I've ever seen. He's the most loyal coach that I've ever seen. And if one of his gun players puts his hand up and says, I'm ready to go, he picks him. Now, he wasn't confident, because if he was confident, the dual Brownlow medalist starts in the centre bounce for the first bounce of the grand final. But he was confident enough that the calf was okay, and it was just a matter of the conditioning. So credit to Chris. We'll get to his record with some of his plays shortly. And Lachie Neale, to do what he did and to heal as quickly as he did, I've never seen anything like it. Like, he popped that calf genuinely, out for the season, sat in a hyperbaric chamber for 2 weeks and got himself in a position where he only played 40% game time. So it was like 50 minutes, but it was perfect with the impact that he had and the right time to bring him on as sub.
I tell you what, give me those 50 minutes any day of the week. A huge goal, 17 possessions and 7 clearances. Only one more player on the ground had more clearances than Lachie Neale. I mean, we're enamoured when it comes to what he's able to do, Kane, but his legacy, if you are projecting forward, where's he going to sit?
Well, I'm not speaking out of school here, and I hope Bruce McAvaney is okay with me sharing this on the massive AFL platform and with you, Sarah, but I was standing on the boundary line after the game with Bruce, and he looked at me in his way and he said, well, he's definitely an automatic inclusion into the Australian Hall of Fame, but I wonder if he's a legend. I think he's a legend. I wonder if he's a legend. And that was Bruce. And I think Bruce is probably right. Like, when you look at the dual Brownlow medalist, the dual premiership captain, the All-Australians, the best and fairest, I think he probably ends up with Patrick Dangerfield, of the two that were playing in that game yesterday, as legends in the Australian Football Hall of Fame. That's how good his resume is now, and that is what was at stake for him putting his hand up and recovering from that calf issue. I don't think we're having that conversation if he's not a dual premiership player and captain yesterday, but I'll take Bruce's word for it.
Me too.
I reckon he's going to, and it's going to take 30 years, but he'll eventually get there, I think.
Now, Charlie Cameron, we've often discussed him throughout this year because he's had an up and down season. I spoke to him post-match and he was the first to put his hand up and say, look, it hasn't been my most consistent year, but his coach, Chris Fagan, continued to back him in when those among us, Kane, you were calling for him to be dropped, and it materialised, didn't it, the loyalty on the biggest stage in September?
Yeah, not for the first time with Chris. That's why I just think he's a psychological master of coach and just, as I said, the most loyal. Like, I think even last year, he probably wouldn't have given games to the likes of Logan Morris and Lohman unless some of those players, Link McCarthy and Kitty Comm was another one, got injured. That's the only way these sort of youngsters were able to force their way into the side. But you're right. I thought certainly the qualifying final was Charlie's lowest ebb this year. He 2 touches. I thought his contest work was awful. I thought his body language was poor. We highlighted that on this program. So to respond like he did on the biggest, now his 4th grand final, I think it was his 29th final. He's now kicked 54 goals in finals. That's his record now as a big game performer. And I mean, one more goal, he probably wins the Norm Smith, I reckon. So well done to him. But more importantly, well done to his coach for backing him in again, like he has done with so many of his players.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.